Councilmember, good to see you again here.
Always great to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with the city budget. Money is suddenly tight at Dallas City Hall. What's going on?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of revenue shortfall that us seeing with the general economy that all Americans are experiencing, having to tighten their budgets right now. We're no different than anyone else. We have expenses that have gone up in the city.
Yeah.
It costs us more to pay for gasoline, to get our trucks out to fix the roads. It costs us more money to repair facilities, repair roofs and repair windows. And so that we're feeling that. Plus we're seeing a reduction in sales tax revenue that was forecasted to be a little bit higher than it was. And I think that's a result also of the national economy and gas prices going up and less people just traveling.
Do you expect this to lead to a cut in city services or layoffs at the city?
No, I think one thing I've got to commend the city manager for is coming to council early. A lot of times, my early first couple of years, the city manager would come to us in August and say, all right, here's the budget. And it's really, at that point, it's already baked, right? Kim has moved it up earlier in the year.
Kim Tolbert, yeah.
Kim Tolbert, our city manager, has moved it up earlier in the year when we learn about the budget and what's coming. And that started a few years ago in May, June timeframe. Now, because of the shortfall, she's come even earlier than that. And giving us a heads up that we are going to have some shortfalls and giving us the chance to ask the questions about it, go out to our constituents and get their feedback on it as well.
Part of this is because FIFA is not going to be as profitable for Dallas and all the other host cities as originally expected with hotel bookings, et cetera. Not the same forecast that you guys were expecting.
Yeah.
Did FIFA overpromise the World Cup?
Yeah, I think we expected more of a bump from the travel coming into Dallas from FIFA, number one. And then two, the convention center right now is not fully occupied. The only thing happening in the convention center, which is a big piece of our tourism dollars in Dallas, is the media center, the media headquarters for FIFA. Whereas normally we'd be having the big cheerleader conferences and everything else coming here, but because it's under construction, we're going to be seeing sales tax revenue shortages going into the next few years. But
the FIFA games just haven't, the fans for FIFA, as far as hotel bookings go, just hasn't materialized yet, huh?
It hasn't been as strong as forecasted, but
why is that, you think?
I think part of it is travel concerns, internationally coming into the United States right now. I think another big piece of that is just the cost of travel, gas prices soaring, things of that nature, and it's just that coupled with the cost of the FIFA tickets. I was trying to get tickets for me and my kids to go to a game, and it was like $1,700 for nosebleeds in Cowboy Stadium.
Yeah, you're telling
and
me.
It was crazy, and so that's not happening. And I think fans are seeing the total cost of trying to come to Dallas and go to these experiences.
And it's impacting the city budgets.
It all rolls downhill to the city budget. And I'll tell you, our sales tax revenue is the one piece of the budget we can't accurately forecast. We can definitely get ballpark forecasts, but like property taxes, we know because DCAT tells us here's what you're going to get, right? But sales tax revenue, it fluctuates. It depends on the national economy and stuff like that. And when the convention center is under construction, plus you've got the national economy that's not as strong as it should be, it hurts us too.
Councilman, there was talk that the future of Dallas City Hall might be decided this month. That vote now looks like it's pushed to next month in June. Does that mean there's second thoughts about all this? What's going on?
The City Hall discussion's got to happen. No matter, I know the Mavs have been the center of a lot of publicity lately, but whatever the Mavericks decide to do, the City Hall decision still has to take place. And there's multiple pieces to the conversation, one of which is the deferred maintenance bill. That's still coming in as forecasted this month. The other piece is what are the economic opportunities around City Hall, whether it's using the City Hall site or developing everything around it and keeping it there. We had over 400 submissions from interested folks who have ideas. Now, some of them were like—
to redevelop the site.
To redevelop the site or to keep it and to build around it. And some of them were, 100-page theses, theses that are like, really detailed plans. And then there's some 2 or 3 page plans that are just like, all right, do this, put a museum there. Very, very simple plans. But staff, before they release them to the public, before we get access to them, they've got to redact everything, all the confidential information, and it's so that many submissions has kind of delayed our review of this.
So
It's a good thing, though. It's a good problem.
It's a good. Okay, so I was
Yeah.
going to ask you. This is nothing to. We shouldn't be reading anything into the delay.
No, I mean, I just think that the only thing that I read into it, at least, is that there's
A lot of interest.
A lot of interest. There's a lot of people very passionate about City Hall one way or the other.
When do you expect the public will start to see the numbers on what it's going to cost to relocate City Hall somewhere else, if that's what council decides?
I would and this is ultimately up to staff when they roll all this out. I haven't seen it yet, but I would expect that to come first before we start seeing economic development visioning and all of that, because I think that's going to take longer. But the deferred maintenance items, we were told that's going to come to us like within the next week or two. And the city managers relayed to me and to other council members every Wednesday starting next week, even on our voting Wednesdays, we're going to start getting information about City Hall.
What do you think the numbers will show as far as relocating?
It's going to be very expensive. I don't know if it's
More
going to be
expensive than moving out of City Hall?
I don't know. Than staying in City
And
Hall
then
and
staying in
renovating?
City Hall, yeah.
Well, one key there is either if we're going to stay in City Hall permanently, or if we're going to move. Either way, we're going to have to move out temporarily, because to do a proper renovation of this building since the day it opened, it's never been renovated properly. We're going to have to move people out of there. So there is a move associated, and we're going to have to at some point eat that cost of that move. The question to me is really the deferred maintenance piece. What is that final cost going to look like? We've seen numbers anywhere from $300 million to $1 billion, and I think it's going to be up to us to figure out what the true cost is associated with it.
But there's no reason to have to do it all at the same time, though, right?
No, we can phase it in. But the complicated piece of that is that, all right, if you're going to be renovating, let's just say
If you're moving
electrical,
out, yeah.
I mean, then you got to move everybody out. If
Yeah.
you're going to be renovating pipes, you probably got to move everyone out, or a lot
Sure.
of them out. So if the phasing is going to be in the plans, how are you going to phase it in, and
Yeah.
who's going to be moved when? That's the piece I don't know.
There's been fierce opposition to the city moving out of its iconic City Hall building there. Revelations that we've seen in the paper and other places too have only led to conspiracy theories behind this. Do you think the process should have been handled differently from the get-go?
Yes, I think the city staff has done a less than stellar job of communicating to the public. I think the city in general is not great about communication, and it's led to conspiracy theories. At the end of the day, we have a fiscal responsibility to our taxpayers to be good stewards of their money and to do what we can to shore up our budget in the face of shortfalls. And in this situation, I understand the level of distrust that's out there because the communication has not been great. I think moving forward, it's an absolute must that the city's got to communicate better with the public, lay everything out on the table. These 418, I think, submissions, let's let the public look at them and chew on it a little bit before we make some decisions.
Let me ask you this. Why the rush to do something with the City Hall side? There are plenty of other places near downtown, in downtown, that the city could redevelop. On the east side of the skyline by Deep Ellum, Riverfront Boulevard. There are other places that the Mavs could look at, or the city could look at to redevelop. Why that exact location?
I mean, let me just say this. The Mavericks have said they want to stay in Dallas.
Sure.
I hope that continues to be true. Whether the Mavs go to Valley View or whether the Mavs stay in downtown somewhere, it's a win to the city. It's a loss to the city if they move to Irving or some other place. So we have to keep the Mavs. Does that mean they need to be at the City Hall site? I don't think they do. I think they could go to Valley View. It'd still be a win to me. But that conversation aside, we still have to figure out how to save downtown, how to energize it so we don't have any more corporate relocations. Does that mean we have to move out of City Hall? Not necessarily, but we've got to have a true vision for the southern part of downtown, because nothing's been built there in the 20 years I've been here except the Omni. And it's, if we're going to really have a vibrant downtown in the future and let the rest of the city benefit from that, we got to do something now.
Is AT&T and Comerica's departure, are those departures really kind of, the fuel behind getting something done immediately?
I think it's part of the big picture of we're not seeing the momentum in the right direction for downtown, and we've got to change that tide. And if the city's not willing to do it by activating our real estate either around City Hall or at City Hall, who else is going to do that for us?
We haven't heard as much about the future of the Dallas Stars. Do you expect Dallas is going to be able to keep the NHL team at the American Airlines Center?
I have told Kim, and I know the mayor and many of my colleagues have told the city manager that the Stars are just as important to our city as the Mavericks are. And as of yesterday, Kim was negotiating with the owner of the Stars and said we have some positive momentum. I mean, if you think about the cost, so we're talking about costs here of City Hall, right? You think about the cost of them moving up to Plano, and they would have to put in the infrastructure for a new arena there. They'd have to build a brand new arena from ground up there, versus if they stay here at the AAC, we already have a wonderful shell of an arena. What they're asking for is for it to be renovated to really be focused on hockey only. And so the cost...
Would that be a cost to taxpayers?
It theoretically could be attached to, that's what Kim's problem, right, to figure that out. But if it's going to be a taxpayer cost, it would have to go to taxpayers for a vote.
For a bond or something?
Or a bond or something of that nature. But it could be attached to a ticket tax. It could be attached to a rental car tax. There could be TIF funds that are being used for it. Probably at the end of the day, it'll end up being like a combination of a puzzle piece that's put together. But I don't want to let my point go beyond here. The cost of renovating something and keeping the structure that you have is less than building something new typically. And by staying here in Dallas, they've got a wonderful facility. We just need to renovate it for them.
And you think you could convince, or the city could convince the Stars?
So I can't have the negotiations, neither can any of my colleagues, but the city manager can. And I'm hoping that message is coming through her.
Last question. Let me ask you about the Houston Street Viaduct, the oldest bridge in Dallas. You're pushing to make it pedestrian and bike and keep the train on there too that goes to the Bishop Arts District. That idea got a lot of questions at the last committee meeting. The next committee meeting is May 19th. Do you think there'll be support to do this?
Let me just correct something for the record here. Is the Oak Farms corridor study, which was supported by all of the neighborhood associations and Methodist Hospital, which was a multi-year plan, proposed that Houston Street Viaduct gets converted to streetcar, bike, pedestrian only. And all
that was from that Oak Farm study. Okay.
Correct.
And because you're getting a lot of the headlines for it.
It's normal, but that came from a study, and it's one that I supported as well, along with the unanimous support of everyone who came to the meetings for 3 or 4 years. The proposal was to move all of the traffic over to Jefferson and then take the bike lanes off Jefferson. So the cars stay on Jefferson, everything else goes over to Houston, which for the longevity of the bridge being so old, it makes more sense to take some of the vehicular traffic off of that. So it would result in the loss of 1 lane of traffic, but it would theoretically make it much safer for anyone using it for recreation or travel on a bike or a pedestrian. At the end of the day, I don't have necessarily a personal dog in the fight. I bike on it, I run on it, my kids bike on it with me, and I commute almost every day on the Jefferson Viaduct. So I experience it personally, just like a lot of my neighbors do. The concern that has come up is not the piece from Oak Cliff, but it's what happens when the cars all get over here to the convention center. Are they going to have to go around the convention center? Are they going to go under it? And that's not been ironed out from staff, and it hasn't been communicated what the additional commute times will be. And that's generated a lot of concern, myself included. So at the end of the day, what we need is we need the traffic counts, and we need the addition to commute times so that we can really all come together on this.
And that's what's coming May 19th. The staff's going to have all this information, hopefully this time, right?
That's what they've communicated to me, right.
Gotcha. Councilman, good to see you again.
You too. Thank you.